Hot Business on Hot 1027 with Jeremy Maggs and MoneyWeb.
Now, every Wednesday on the radio, the best free financial advice you're going to get. All you need to do is email me at business@hot1027.co.za and we'll find the right person to help you. Tonight, Lee-Ann Nagel, accountant at Tax Consulting South Africa, is going to help Melinda in Steyn City, who writes, and thank you very much, Melinda. I own a small PTY Limited. I don't employ anyone on a full-time basis, she says, but pay contractors for each project done. She goes on to say, I pay myself a monthly salary from the company, but my income is not taxed. She wants to know two things. One, do I need to file separate taxes for my business and myself, so the income that I get is paid to me as a salary? And the second question is, I've just passed the R1 million mark in earnings. Well done, Melinda. Am I compelled to register for value-added tax? Lee-Ann, good evening to you. Thank you very much indeed. Let's see if we can help Melinda tonight. First of all, overall, do you think that this is an unusual problem, or is it fairly simple to solve?
Good evening. No, this is not an unusual problem. I think a lot of people come across this, and it is definitely an easy solve.
All right. So how does she need to manage her tax obligations for the payments?
Okay, so it's important to always remember that a company is a separate legal entity, so it is separate from you as a person. So you're always going to have your own income tax returns and you're always going to have your company income tax returns, and both of those do need to be submitted and paid.
So what she can't do is, and I think what she's asking principally is, can she pull or sort of agglomerate these two things together, and you can't do that. What are the key differences then, Lee-Ann, between filing for a PTY and for personal income derived from a PTY? Break that down for us if you can.
Asking about the differences there. Okay, so they're very similar. You're going to take into account some more laws and regulations where a PTY is concerned, because obviously the bigger you grow, the more taxes become applicable to what you're doing. The best thing is always to either just consult with a tax or accounting professional. They would be able to help you, or there are a lot of resources online to be able to find out for yourself what you need to do. But the process, it's very simple. SARS gives you a very clear guide on how to submit. The questions are all very intuitive. So you follow their guide, and it's easy enough to submit.
And there are penalties if you don't do this, am I right?
Oh, yes. SARS is very serious about submitting on time, honestly, and making sure you pay those taxes. So for your own happiness and sanity, please do submit your returns on time. And
Melinda in Steyn City, both Lee-Ann and I want you to be happy. That's the whole reason why we're having a conversation tonight. Lee-Ann, let's move on to the next issue. She has surpassed the R1 million mark in earnings. So what is the position now regarding value-added tax?
Well, first of all, a big congratulations for passing that R1 million mark. Unfortunately, yes, you are compelled legally to register for that. As soon as you pass that mark within a 12-month period, it can be any 12 month, it's not just your financial year, it's mandatory. You have to register with SARS, otherwise they will register you themselves, and they will tell you how much you owe them, and that can be a very painful thing to go through.
So in terms of earnings, what is the threshold? At what point don't you have to register for VAT?
So anything below 1 million, you are not compelled to do it. If you go above 1 million, you have to. However, you can choose voluntarily to register for VAT. Some people would do that, especially if you're working with big government contracts or that type of thing. If you go above 50,000 in a 12-month period, you can actually choose to voluntarily register for that.
So what happens if you're sitting on an income per annum that hovers between $1 million and just under? What's the best advice?
Keep an eye on it. That's the best advice I can give you. You obviously don't want less income. You want your business to grow. So don't try and keep your earnings that low. There are benefits to tax. You can get certain contracts, and obviously you can claim back VAT. So just make sure you keep an eye on that mark. Once you hit that mark, it is a legal requirement to register.
Let's talk a little bit about claiming back on VAT. And I think it's really important for people to understand, and this is a mistake that so many, I think, have made, is that if you're getting into that VAT paradigm or that VAT orbit, that money is not yours. So, if you're charging VAT on an invoice, often people, the money comes in and they don't put that aside, and they can get themselves into all sorts of difficulty.
That's very true, yes. Any tax that's owed to SARS is never your money to begin with.
Sadly.
So a question I've gotten from quite a few clients is, I don't charge VAT, but I'm now registered for VAT, so why do I need to pay my money to SARS? And I tell them, listen, you're supposed to be charging VAT on your invoices. You add that to what your services are, and that added amount, it's value-added tax, that's what that is, that needs to be paid over to SARS. It's not your money.
And Lee-Ann, tell Melinda how difficult it is to go about registering for VAT. Is it a fairly painless process? What would she need to supply in order to do that?
Okay, so it is a fairly painless process, especially if you are on e-filing, if you have your profile up to date and you have your public officer and all of those goody things. If your details with SARS are not already in place, it will become a little bit more painful, because then they want everything. They want your contact details, your address, your ID, all of the good things. So hoping that you have a fairly standard e-filing setup, then it's quite easy. You can even do it yourself. Go through e-filing, you fill in a form, you say, yes, I want to register for VAT. You basically supply the bare minimum. They might ask you for some proof that you have enough income. Give them that, and it's a quick process. They want you to pay that to them. They want that money, so they're not going to stand in your way if you want to register.
And the taxman will come hunting if you fail to register for VAT once that earnings threshold is exceeded.
Yes. There are
penalties, aren't there?
Yeah, no, there are penalties. They will make you back pay whatever VAT you were supposed to give them if you crossed the threshold and you did not tell them. And it's easy for them to know, because if you're giving out a certain amount of invoices, SARS picks that up on their system. They pick up the income in your bank account and they say, listen, you're getting a lot more than $1 million. We want our money.
Just the final side of Melinda's query, and that is handling the accounting and tax implications of paying contractors versus employing full-time staff. How does she go about that?
Yeah, so there's pros and cons to both of those. It's important, if you have full-time staff, to keep track of the fact that you need to now worry about employer's tax. You need to deduct UIF, and you need to deduct pay-as-you-earn, and you need to submit those returns as well. That's also a very important thing, and pay that money over to SARS as well. So having contractors is a little bit different, but you need to make sure that your contractors know that they're responsible for their own income tax. You're not paying it for them. They have to file those returns and pay that tax themselves.
All right, Melinda in Steyn City, I hope that Lee-Ann has helped you tonight. I've done absolutely nothing, but that was good advice. Melinda, your invoice with VAT is in the mail. No, we're just kidding. This is free advice. Best free financial advice on the radio. And if you have a query, we'll tackle another one next week. All you need to do is drop us a mail, business@hot1027.co.za. Lee-Ann Nagel, accountant at Tax Consulting South Africa. I suspect that we will have a conversation around something like this or something similar like this in the not too distant future. I do appreciate your time tonight, and thank you.
Hot Business on Hot 1027.